This is the first video of the Docker series, and the first topic that we need to discuss in the Docker series is to understand the difference between virtualization and containerization. So first we'll start before virtualization what was happening, right? So let's try to understand how it was working. So basically what was happening is earlier people were buying some hardware. Okay, so already before virtualization means that is the time around 2000, right? So in fact the virtualization got developed in almost around 1970s, but to become it popular and people start using, the 2000 is the time where people started using it. So before virtualization, how the application deployment were happening? So it's very simple. People were just buying the hardware, and if they want to deploy any application, so on that hardware we'll have an operating system, and then on top of that we'll install the application that we want to deploy, right? And along with the application, all the dependencies related to that application we're installing on that hardware. So now what is the problem or what is the challenge that we are facing here? So the major challenge is the wastage of resource. Why so? Because let's say this hardware is having the 16 GB, right? So obviously if your application is using 12 GB, the whatever 4 GB, okay, whatever the 4 GB extra is there, that will be completely wasted, because if this is a production environment, definitely you will not take a risk of deploying multiple applications on the same hardware, right? Because we cannot, definitely we can install a lot of application on the same system, but if it is a production, we shall have to take care of it, right? Or we need to make sure that we are providing a proper isolation for that, right? So we are not having any such kind of a mechanism at that point, right? So that's the reason this is just a single application was getting deployed on the hardware. So already at that point of time, hardware cost was very high. So and wasting the resources. When I say resources, or when I say compute resources, what does that mean? That means that includes RAM, CPU, or any hard disk drive that is required to run that application properly, right? So people were not affording to waste these resources, right? So to resolve this problem, that is where the virtualization concept came in. Okay, that is where the virtualization concept came in. So in a virtualization, what was happening, right? So in a virtualization, what was happening is on the same hardware, okay, on the same hardware, we are first installing the operating system, and then on top of that, we are installing some hypervisors. Okay, we are installing some hypervisors. So now you guys must have already used some hypervisors like vSphere, which is from VMware, and then we have another popular, that is VirtualBox. So these are two popular hypervisors are there, and with these hypervisors what we can do is we can create multiple virtual machines. Okay, we are able to create multiple virtual machines on the same system. So how this was possible? So basically with the hypervisor, what we can do is we can create multiple virtual machines, and every virtual machine will have its own guest operating system, and on top of that what we can do is we can install our application and all the dependencies required for that application, right? So now this hypervisor was making sure that every VM will get a proper complete isolation, so that they will not interfere with any other virtual machine, right? So every virtual machine will have its own application, all its dependency, and every virtual machine will have its own operating system. Okay, we call it as a guest operating system, right? And not necessary this your host operating system and guest operating system should be same. Okay, they can also be different, right? So now if you see here, what advantage that we are getting here is, the major advantage is the somewhat we are managing the resources properly, right? Because let's say this whole system is of a 16 GB, right? So what we can do is, maybe on the same hardware we can just distribute maybe 8 GB, 4 GB, 4 GB. Like this, we can create on the same machine, we can create multiple virtual machines, and we can distribute the compute capacity of your host machine. Okay, and due to that, all these virtual machines are kind of running in isolation. Due to that, we can install multiple applications on the same hardware, right? So these are few advantage that we get with a virtualization. So there are some disadvantages are also there with virtualization. So the first thing is, in the virtualization, what happens is, once you create a virtual machine, let's say while creating a virtual machine you just give the 4 GB while creating a virtual machine, right? So until and unless that virtual machine is running, you cannot modify this memory when your virtual machine is running, right? So if you want to modify it, you need to stop that virtual machine and then modify it to some different size, and then you have to start that virtual machine. So obviously if this is a production environment, you cannot afford to stop the virtual machine, then modify the memory and then start it again, right? So here as well, let's say while creating, if you start or if you give 4 GB and if your application running inside it is using only 3 GB, in that case here as well we'll lose that 1 GB resource here, right? So definitely here also we have a resource wastage, but definitely that is very less as compared to the standalone environment, right? So this is the first drawback. Second is, now we are deploying a complete operating system, right? So here this operating system is a completely a full-fledged OS. So to start that operating system and to stop it takes a lot of time, okay? And that's the reason overall start and stop time required for this virtual machine would be very high, right? So this is another disadvantage that we can see here. Now with all this, okay, with all this problem that we have in a virtualization, that is where the community or the a lot of companies come up with a concept called containerization, right? So let's try to understand how this containerization works, right? So it's very much similar what we have in a virtualization, but with some different changes. So basically what we do is, again in the containerization, is we'll have a host operating system. So on this host operating system we'll install the operating system, we'll have operating system, and on top of operating system we install some container runtime engine, that is nothing but a Docker. So we install Docker, and then with the help of Docker we can create multiple containers, container 1, container 2, container 3. Now every container will have its own mini OS. Then on top of that we'll have an application and its dependencies, okay, application and its dependencies. Now the first thing that we need to understand is, what is mini OS? What is mini OS? So basically what happens, all these containers are actually share the read only part of this host operating system, okay, that we don't need to carry in each container. And that is the reason, first of all, the containers will be very lightweight, okay, that is one thing, is it will be very lightweight. The second thing is, now when we say mini OS, what does that mean, right? So let me draw the virtualization diagram once again here. So in this virtualization, what we do, on the host operating system we'll have a hypervisor, and on top of hypervisor we'll have a multiple virtual machines, right? And then every virtual machine will have its own guest operating system, the application and its dependencies, right? So here we install the full-fledged operating system, okay, here we install the full-fledged operating system. Now, and here we install the mini OS. Now what is the difference? So basically just take an example there of your laptop, right? So now if you see, in our laptop we have thousands of small utilities, okay, or let's take an example of, let's say, normal Ubuntu machine, okay, Ubuntu 2004, 1804, any Ubuntu OS you can take an example. So if you observe, in that Ubuntu you will find there are a lot of thousands of small utilities are there, okay. So utility is nothing but like command like a grep, find, ls, double l. So you will find thousands of small commands are there in that Ubuntu, right? But now let's consider here you install that Ubuntu, right? So now it has 1000 capabilities, and if you install any application on top of that, does that application really using that all that 1000 utilities? So answer is no, right? So then what is the point of carrying all these 1,000 utilities along with the operating system? It's just a waste of resources, right? If you are not using, if your application deployed on that operating system is not using that utilities, then what is the point of carrying that, right? So that is what we improve in the containerization. So in a containerization, what we do, whatever is required for your application, only that we carry. Let's say your application require only a 50 utilities, right? So we take the mini OS, means it's a kind of a very stripped version of your operating system, and on top of that only the required dependencies for your application will be installed. So that means if your application require 50, only that 50 small utilities will be installed. Okay, and that is the reason, okay, that is the reason when we create an image for your container, overall image size you will find it would be around 1 GB, 500 MB, 2 GB, this kind of a space you will find, okay, or this kind of size of your image will be there. But if you see the size of your virtual machine, you will find the virtual machine sizes are 4 GB, 30 GB, 40 GB, 50 GB. This kind of a size you will find it for the virtual machine. So why this much is difference? Because in the virtualization we are unnecessarily carrying that extra 950 utilities even if your application is not using. But in a containerization we just carry what is required, right? So now if you have a very limited utilities, obviously to start and stop container, the time required for that would be very less, because when we have a lot of utilities, obviously all the utilities will take some time to initialize, okay, or it will take some time to shut down. But if we have very limited, then obviously the overall start and stop time of the container is very less. It's almost 1/20th time, okay. So here container start and stop is time is very less, okay, and we call the containers as a very lightweight because overall container size will be also not more than 1 GB, or it will be around 1 GB. But that is not the case with a virtualization or VMs, okay. We'll have the size of around 30 GB, 40, 50, okay, it could be even more than that as well, right? So this is the first major advantage that we get with containerization. There is another advantage is that container does not block resources. That means here we have seen while creating a virtual machine, if you assign 4 GB, okay, that 4 GB will be allocated to that virtual machine all the lifetime of that virtual machine. Okay, if you want to modify, you have to take it down, then only you can modify. But here in the containers, the resources required to your container will be provided on demand. Resources will be provided on demand. That means if this container requires 1 GB, only 1 GB will be provided. If container requires 1.2 GB, only 1.2 GB will be provided from the host system. So that complete resources will be provided on demand to this particular container, right? And due to that, the resource utilization or resource usage in the containerization would be very proper, will not have any resource wastage. So this is again another advantage that we get with the containerization. Now let me talk about the disadvantage. So obviously everything has some advantage, some disadvantage. So for a containerization, the disadvantage part is on the security side, right? So what is that? So basically, let's talk about the virtualization first. What is the drawback, or what is the problem that we have here is, so basically when we are carrying 1,000 utilities, okay, when you are carrying 1,000 utilities, obviously the attack surface, that we have would be very high, because now having vulnerability, okay, vulnerability is nothing but it's a kind of a software bug. So having vulnerability in your 1,000 utility would be the probability of that would be very high, but as compared to having a vulnerability in a 50 utilities would be very less as compared to the 1,000. So here in a virtualization, attack surface is very high, and the containerization attack surface is a very low, right? But now even if the attack surface is high, if due to some reason if your virtual machine get compromised, this virtual machine will have its own guest operating system, okay, it will have its own all the functionality, so you don't need to interact with host operating system very regularly, and that will make sure that other virtual machines are keep running all the time. But that is not the case in the containerization. So here containers are using the host machine kernel. So that's the reason your container has to talk to host operating system very regularly. And that is where if there is any vulnerability in the container 1, there are high chances that it will impact your other containers as well. So this is one major drawback that we have in a containerization, right? But and one more thing that also we need to understand is when we create multiple container, what we need to do is we have to make sure all these containers are compatible with the host operating system, because we are using the host operating system kernel. But that is not the case in a virtualization. In a virtualization, every virtual machine have its own operating system, so we don't have any dependency on the host operating system. So your application is, let's say, running on a Ubuntu, so here you can put the Ubuntu, but here we can have a Windows as well. That's perfectly fine. But that's not the case here. If you want to run a .NET application, you have to make sure that you have a Windows here. Okay, in fact that is not the case, because to run your containerization, we have to make sure that we have a Unix kernel, because in a Unix kernel we have two functionalities like C group and namespaces. Those are used by the Docker or container runtime engine to make sure that containers are getting proper isolation, as well as they are getting enough resources allocated for, or enough resources are provided to this container, right? So we have to make sure that every container is compatible with the host operating system, right? So this is something, again, a kind of a, you can say, drawback or a limitation that we have in a containerization. But the good part here is about the securities. Even though here attack surface is less and there are high chances that hacker can reach to your host operating system and can take down your other container as well, there are a lot of companies like IBM, VMware, Facebook, Google, they are working on some layer here. Okay, that layer, that is where the some application will run, and it will scan all the calls that are going from mini OS to your host operating system, and if there is any malicious call, that will be dropped here itself, so that your other containers can keep running all the time, even if your one container gets compromised, right? So this solution is still yet to get it in the market, but yeah, if you want to just get it more, so there is something called a gvisor. Okay, that is something is in development, so you can just visit on that, right? So that's it for this particular video. I hope everyone enjoyed to understand the difference between virtualization versus containerization. We'll come up with a next video where we'll discuss about the Docker architecture and the workflow, how step by step we can migrate or deploy our application into the Docker environment. So thanks everyone.